Listen to this now. Lawyers for former President Jacob Zuma argued that the private prosecution case has nothing to do with suppressing media freedom. The Pietermaritzburg High Court is hearing the case against journalist Karyn, Maughan, and arms deal prosecutor Advocate Billy Downer. Zuma's lawyer spent the day explaining why the pair caused personal harm and injury to their client when they unlawfully leaked his medical records. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo was at court and filed this report.
Wednesday's proceedings kicked off with former President Jacob Zuma's lawyer, Thabani Masuku, explaining the role of an amicus curiae, a friend of the court. The senior counsel contends that lawyers for SANEF, Media Monitoring Africa, Freedom of Expression and the Helen Suzman Foundation made partisan arguments on Monday. On that day, the full bench heard how Zuma's medical records, which have some parts of it redacted, were already filed in court, thereby making it an official public document.
So the main mission of the amici is to be a friend of an independent, impartial court exercising independence and impartiality on the issues, on the dispute before it. So a friend of the court has loyalty only to the court and must make submissions in a manner that reflects the neutrality and the independence of the court, for whose benefit the amici has been admitted.
Advocate Masuku argued that the private prosecution against reporter Maughan is not personal, nor does it affect media's freedom as enshrined in Section 16 of the Constitution.
There is not a scintilla of evidence, not an iota of evidence, that this private prosecution has affected the media, its ability to report, or even its safety.
Zuma's other senior counsel, Mpofu, says Downer was an accomplice to the breaching of parts of the National Prosecuting Authority Act, which talks about not sharing information with any person without the permission of the Director of Public Prosecutions. In his affidavit, State Prosecutor Downer states that Advocate Andrew Breitenbach told him after the fact that he'd shared unsigned court documents with Maughan, but they'd agreed that her story would only be published once papers were officially filed with the court.
Really. And they say, what are we talking about when we say it was leaking? In which world does a prosecutor, national prosecutor, phone a particular journalist, not the media, as they say somewhere? They say, no, then it was given to the media at 1640. No. It's given to a particular journalist for a particular purpose in a conversation initiated by the prosecutor. But here's the catch of all catches. Mr. Downer and Mr. Breitenbach tell us, and Ms. Maughan, tell us that there was an arrangement made among them that please do not write your story in this document until the document is filed tomorrow. I'll take you to the thing. So everyone knew that the document will only be filed tomorrow. It was Women's Day on the 9th of August, 2021. Public holiday.
In their rebuttal, Maughan and Downer's lawyers say the section of the NPA Act quoted by Mpofu has been incorrectly interpreted, as this relates to confidential information that needs permission from the NDPP to be shared, but not a run-of-the-mill court document. Judgment has been reserved. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ziyanda Ngcobo in Pietermaritzburg.